Today, I'm not doing short form as example of this being the wrong aspect ratio. And I have neglected to mention what Monster Week actually is. Here's the symbol. Monster Week was a D&D YouTube organization party thing where everyone talks about a specific D&D thing. Last year it was dragons, this year is Fey. And that's why I have created the compilation of the Fey Invasion, starting now.
Don't worry about it, still canon.
I'm making a very random D&D monster, and this one is actually a part of Monster Week. There'd be a picture there once editing is done. Monster Week is a part of the, Shark Week, but for D&D players. Everyone at Burning Man. Riding a horse. Ah, yes. The Fae now have their own Ghost Riders. The apocalypse is upon us.
Until recently, I had never been personally acquainted with the annual Fey incursion. However, my new boss seems to have taken it upon himself to be a part of the frontline forces. I guess I'm going to have to follow him because I don't want to die out here, but I also don't want to die in there. This year, the main invasion force was filled with a whole bunch of Fey creatures that were constantly on fire, riding flaming horses. They could gain a lot of damage out of charging on top of their horse, and they had lances made of fire to impale their enemies. Not to mention that they were very trained with their specific flaming horses, allowing them to redirect attacks to themselves if their mount ever becomes threatened, and allowing their mounts easier dodging for some of the more potent spells. That's not to say the horses themselves weren't something to contend with. The horses are capable of stomping your foot if you ever try and escape, making you stop in your tracks. And the horses breathe fire for some reason. Why does a horse need fire breathing? Well, it's the Fae. I guess I can't question anything. They do what they want. And currently what they want is to get obliterated. The boss took out so many of those guys. And I was sort of helpful. I took out 5, maybe? I don't know. The battle was a blur. Hopefully I will be more ready next year. So yeah, Burning Man, riding on horse as D&D monster. Have fun. I decided I wanted to add art and commentary to this compilation. So yeah, here's the Kindel Horse. Funny thing is, I first created this monster a month ahead of time because I saw the announcement and panicked. That is why it says, "Don't worry, still canon." Because I had no clue what day it would have actually have been. And it's obvious that I'm not an artist, but I feel like the Flaming Horsemen actually encapsulate some of the fury by intentionally using marker instead of the pens. But let's head on to the next monster.
We're working on day 73, and we're continuing with the Monster Week storyline of the Fey Invasion. Ah yes, pirates. Handcuffed to a golf cart.
I mean, that's not the worst thing to be handcuffed to.
I guess we have more cavalry, and these guys are looking ton weirder than the Flaming Horse guys.
After a while of just fighting the Flaming Horsemen guys, we were running kind of low on people when reinforcements started emerging from the Fey side of the portal. Luckily, around this time, we also got reinforcements because of the legendary golf pirates. These guys ride golf carts into battle. I don't know why they chose this as their form of transportation, but I gotta respect their style. They are really good at maneuvering their vehicles in order to take the minimal amount of damage possible. And each driver is equipped with one golf club in order to smack around the enemies. But that's not to say that's the only person in each cart. They also have a golf ball cannoneer on top of each of their carts with a mounted golf ball cannon that they get to launch at opponents. And if they see that one of their opponents is down, despite being a ranged attack, they can capitalize on their opponent's temporary weakness. These guys know what they're doing, and I never thought I was going to see them in battle, especially since we're in the middle of nowhere. But let's just see how this battle progresses. So yeah, pirates who ride golf carts as D&D monster, have fun. The golf pirates, they were entirely just silly. So I decided to give them little to no effort in this artwork to emphasize the silliness of the golf pirates. Because what are you supposed to do? Of course they're silly, they're golf pirates.
Day 74 of making very random D&D monster. And now that the members of the material plane have their reinforcements, let's see what the Fey get. Yes, eagle.
Don't you know eagles like elves?
Control opponent's right hand. The owl has taught them the ways of mind control.
Oh no. Why'd the owl have to come back?
Because funnies! That's why. I'm pretty sure the owl is now my new favorite thing.
I mentioned that both sides of this battle got reinforcements, but I neglected to mention what the Fey reinforcements looked like. They were a bunch of hawks that had soul-piercing eyes that knew how to drive a battlefield deeper into chaos. These guys, every single last one of them, and there were a lot of them, had a singular casting of the spell Crown of Madness, which is very devastating in a big battle, because if the target fails, there is no shortage of people to smack. But other than that, they're more or less normal birds. However, they are being commanded by that one owl. Apparently that owl was their herald or something. Their general, maybe. I don't know. I just know I'm cooked. So yeah, Mayhem Hawk that can control your arm as D&D monster. Have fun. When drawing the Mayhem Hawk, I didn't actually know what color to make the creature. So I asked one of my siblings and they said green. Now I can imagine the Duolingo owl as a member of this species. Probably evolved in some way, but still.
Day 75 of making very random D&D monster. And we're still working on the Monster Week arc. We need a general for the Fey Invasion. Something to actually boss fight against. Yes. A skeletal-like figure. Controls of arm...
You said it was a general!
Yes. But I wasn't thinking Elphaba.
It's Skinny Elphaba!
Elphaba joined the Fey.
Personally, I thought I was gonna die from the owl and his troops, but no, there's a much bigger contender on the field. Because the Fey just brought in the Wicked Witch of the West. Her magic is so potent that it cannot be stopped. No amount of counterspell can stop her magic from happening. Which is kind of terrifying given our main strategy is just turning off magic being done by the boss. And she has a lot of terrifying spells in her arsenal. But most importantly, she is a great example of the Fey's power over words. If you hear chanting starting with Elika, then you have a very slim chance of surviving because your flesh is being transmuted into stone or steel or something like that. And only a wish can save you from this. And if you hear chanting of Abin, you might be getting a fly speed, but it comes at the price of splitting your back open. And she has her own legions of flying monkeys who are very good at strategizing with each other and setting up traps in the battlefield. If I survive this, then I better be compensated. I better be allowed back into society. So yeah, Elphaba, the Wicked Witch of the West, with her flying monkeys as a D&D monster. Have fun. And Elphaba, I couldn't have asked for a more perfect final boss for this arc. Especially since I was randomly drawing cards. I did not draw this, my sister drew it, and she is really good at drawing. A lot better than I am. And I didn't bother drawing the monkeys. I already draw 3 other pieces of artwork. The monkeys will remain unknown. So yeah, that's the Fey Invasion arc compilation for very random D&D monsters. Have fun.